Anglers looking to wet a line got wet themselves this summer or canceled fishing trips altogether.
All right, David hits the water with some experts who saw this weather's impact close up in this week's Wildlife Watch.
Heading out to the Winooski River, Ben Wilcox is casting his reel. He shares his passion for fly fishing by hosting tours around Vermont, something he's always wanted to do.
And I didn't know fly fishing guiding was a thing back then, but I remember thinking, man, when I get older, I think I'd just want to take people fishing.
But this year, there were some issues.
This year, May was terrible. We didn't get rain at all. The rivers were low and hot. And then, obviously, like a light switch, it started raining. And, we had the historic flood in July. And that messed things up for a while, right? Like this river here, the Winooski River, was unfishable almost the whole summer.
And that extra rain caused more than just cancellations, and he was able to see the greater impact on the environment and the ecosystem up close.
There was so many landslides and sediment that was being pushed down the river that the river was muddy the whole time. And a lot of other rivers were like that, which forced us to either fish smaller streams or reschedule, because we're able to find these smaller streams or easy wading parts of a river because we know them all so well.
Fish on, brother. Fish on. There we go. Lake trout on.
Fish were also reeled in on Lake Champlain. Captain Matt Trombley runs charter trips on the lake. The rain affected his job too.
And obviously a lot of rain. When the big heavy floods hit in July, it did affect me from a trolling standpoint. My larger vessel is normally at a marina on the Otter Creek, and because of the high flows, we had to pull the vessel, and I lost 3 weeks worth of trips with that vessel.
Trombley says he was able to get other boats out in the water, but there were changes in lake levels and then the fishing.
Approached almost flood stage here in late July, early August, and it did certainly affect the trout and salmon fishing in the month of August. Obviously, it discolored the water a lot, too, which affects what we choose for lures and the fish's mood.
And that forced him to be extra careful.
With all of the influx of water from the tributaries, there was a lot of sediment that came into the lake, a lot of debris. It took about 6 to 8 days for those floodwaters, specifically out of this region, out of the Otter Creek, to make it to the lake, but that brought a lot of floating logs, pieces of docks, stuff that are hazards for us navigating. So we had to be careful not to be on plane in a lot of places.
When it comes to cancellations, Trombley says when they can get the boat out, they do.
I haven't had to fight it as much. I tell people to dress for the weather, bring a raincoat, and as long as it's not windy and blowing sideways, we're usually generally going to go out.
Despite the season winding down, both say they're still hitting the water as things get back to normal.
I will be guiding right up to November 1st.
Right now, the fishing is good. We've finally had some dry, stable weather, and the rivers are coming down to a fishable level.
In Waterbury, Ike Ben David, Channel 3 News.